Hello. I'm Atticus. Gonna be reading the Farside, the complete Farside, Volume 1. I'm gonna read both volumes. I don't know where the other one is, but this is the first. So let's start with this one. I'm not gonna read any of the text parts, because I don't really want to. I'll read the text under the cartoon, but I'm not gonna read the foreword by Steve Martin or Jake Morrissey, because I don't want to. And they're kind of long, so I'm just gonna start with the cartoons. And god damn, there's a preface, acknowledgements, 2 forewords, a production note. Okay, and then it starts. Alright, so we're gonna start 1980. Sorry if the lighting and the sound is bad. I'm recording this in my attic. Not the best place, but it's nice up here. It's kind of hot, but we don't have air conditioning because life is terrible, but we make do. Anyway, I'm gonna start. God damn, there's another thing. I don't even know what this one is. Okay. January 1980. That's where we're gonna start. This is the first comic, presumably, that Gary submitted. Maybe I should have read the other side. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. The first comics that Gary Larson submitted to newspapers and was in syndication was, at least in the book, was New Year's Day, January 1980. Alright. I'm gonna separate this by year. Oh god. Maybe month. Alright, so let's start with the first one. So it's 2 kids, and they look really bad. His art style significantly improved, but yeah, this is really shitty. Sorry, Gary, but the first ones weren't great. Anyway, not a lot of them are very funny. I should make that clear. I used to really like them as a kid, but now they're not. Some of them are actually funny, which is rare for a newspaper comic. I'll give them that. I don't know of any other funny newspaper comics, except Garfield, but Garfield is only ironically funny, so it doesn't. These are actually funny. Most of them are just weird and threatening. The majority of them are just people who are about to die, and that's the comic. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll get to that. So the first one is these 2 disgusting little kids. They don't really even look like kids, but they're building a sandcastle, and there's these 2 crabs. The kids are in the background. There's 2 crabs in the foreground, and one of them is, they're both looking at the kids, and one of them is saying, yes, they're quite strange during the larval stage. Alright, so that's number 1. Number 2, January 2nd, 1980. 2 dragons outside a cave. I guess it's the background, and in the foreground there's this pit full of old armor and shields. There's a mace and a sword. I guess they're from dead knights that the dragons have killed. And the dragons, one of the left dragon nearest to the cave is saying, of course I never eat the shells. Third one, I'm not gonna read the dates anymore, but it's whatever. The third one, there's a whale, a big whale, and he looks really pissed off, and there's a guy much smaller than him who has shot a harpoon into his head, and he looks like he's about to like eat the guy, and the guy looks nervous, and that's it. Like, I guess the joke is the whale is big. The fourth one is Noah, from the Bible, and he is surrounded by animals, and he's building an arch out of wood, like an arch, and the sky, presumably God, is saying an ark, you fool, implying that Noah misheard God and is building an arch. Right, that's the first page. We've gone through 4. There's like thousands. Let's see how many pages there are. All right, so in this book there are 643 pages, and this is the first one. We just finished number 1. Okay, so bear with me if you're really sticking through this. All right, next. I just took a shower, so my hair is like falling because of the heat of the attic. I'm sorry if I look bad, but like, you don't care. So, page 2. Alright, so there's these 3 scientists. They're all like banged up, and they got like stitches and shit, and stars coming out of their head. And one of them, the left one of the 3, the leftmost one, is holding a boomerang and saying, "Egad, we must find some means of discarding the hideous thing." So like, they're throwing the boomerang, and like, I guess it just keeps hitting them in the face because it keeps coming back. But I don't know, I feel like there's better way. I feel like most people, if they wanted to get rid of a boomerang, wouldn't throw it and expect it. Also, boomerangs are really hard to throw correctly, so I don't like this one. What's the next one? Okay, so the next one is 3 bulls in the foreground. And in the background there's a matador, and one of the bulls, 2 bulls are in like a pen, and the first bull, well, not the first, but like the bull outside of the pen is about to go face the matador, and one of the bulls in the pen is telling him, "Bring back his ear." Alright, the next one is this guy with a giant nose, sitting in an easy chair. There's a dead woman on the floor, and there's 2 cops behind the easy chair, and there's a parrot. I'm sure you can tell where this is going, but there's a parrot, and the parrot is saying, "Polly want a cracker, Polly want a cracker, pretty bird, Harry, don't shoot, pretty bird." So he killed his wife, and then the parrot is there. I'm not going to show you any of them. Yeah, so sorry. The next one is, you just get to look at me. The next one is 2 people, a man and a woman, both hideous people. Like I said, his art style, like, if you know the Farside's art style, in the beginning, the people do not look like that at all. They're disgusting. Like, you know, I'll show you. Okay. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. This is awful. Okay? Right? Yes, you agree. So these 2 people, and they're looking at a snake in a glass, I don't know what it's made of, probably glass box. Oh, that's the joke. The joke is that they're really ugly because they're saying, "Egad, what a hideous girl." I'm sorry, Gary. I didn't get your joke. Oh, I feel dumb. Well, anyway, see? Sometimes I'm the one who's wrong. And, you know, it keeps me humble. Next, alright, we're through the first 2 pages. I finally get to turn the page. I think I'm just gonna do, like, January, because this is taking a lot longer than I assumed. No, actually, yeah, okay. So next, we got these 2 aliens on top of a building, and they have a puppet of a woman, and it's all tangled up, like a puppet of a human woman, and it's all tangled up, and they're dangling it onto the street outside the building they're standing on, and people are walking by, like men, and I guess they're trying to catch the men with the puppet, and they're saying, "Something's wrong. Reel up and check the bait." The next one is 3 guys in a boat, like a raft. They're castaways because they have tattered clothes, like presumably shipwrecked. And they find a desert island and they're super happy about it, but it's like your standard SpongeBob desert island, and there's like one palm tree, but the palm tree is an eye stalk, and underneath we have a view. We, the viewer, are lucky enough to have a view underneath the water. We can see that the men in the raft are only seeing the top of the island, and below it's like an anglerfish type creature. Like I said, the majority of these are just like people who are about to die because they don't realize it yet, and that's just the comic, and that's one of those. The next one, I like this one. The next one is an office, and there's a sign that says symbol auditions, like symbol, the things that you smash together. And also, is it true that Marilyn Monroe, this might just be like some weird sexist urban legend, but like Marilyn Monroe was asked how she felt about being a sex symbol, and she was like, I thought a symbol was one of those things that they smash together in an orchestra. Is that true? I don't know if it's true. But this guy is auditioning for he's at the symbol auditions. He's sitting in front of the guy at the desk, and he swings the cymbals and misses. Like it's like an action shot of him swinging cymbals and missing. So like he's not good at it, but it's a very simple thing. I mean, maybe it's not. I'm not a percussionist, but there's a guy the guy at the desk is upset and says next, and then there's another guy in the door that looks equally hapless with the cymbals. The next one is just, like I said, it's a woman about to go to a mailbox, but there's like a monster inside the mailbox, and underneath the mailbox there's bones. So like the monster is gonna kill her when she tries to deliver her mail. That's the entire thing. I guess it's the joke. I don't know if it's a joke, but yeah. Okay, so the next one is in a courtroom, and there's a lawyer talking to the jury. There's like a judge in the background. You know, a courtroom. And you've seen movies. And he's asking the jury. And so I asked the jury, is that the face of a mass murderer? And there's like a guy at the desk who he's presumably defending, and he's just like a standard smiley face. Like 2 dots and then a half circle, like that's, and I guess I don't really think that's very good, but that's what it is. The next one is 4 carrots. 3 of them are small, one of them's big. I guess he's like their dad. He's like the dad carrot. And he's saying, and then the creatures yanked him out of the ground, skinned him alive, boiled him and ate him. The end. Now go to sleep. Jesus. Alright. The next one is like a salesman. I don't know. He's got a briefcase. He might just be walking by. But it's like implied that he's about to go into this yard. There's a house. And there's a sign on the fence that says beware of dog. And then behind the house there's like this mean dog in a tank. Like the armored tractor, the tank, you know, from war. And the dog's in it. So like this guy is gonna get killed by the dog in the tank, I guess. The next one is 2 guys in a hot air balloon and they're frightened because there's a woodpecker on the hot air balloon. So like it's gonna pop the air balloon, and they're afraid of that, and then they're gonna die. A lot of these are about death. It's a dark comic strip. Alright, next there's 2 guys at a restaurant. They're at a table. One of them's really skinny and like nerdy, I guess. And then the other one is like basically a gorilla in clothes. And the waitress has arrived with their food. And she says, "Alright, let's see which one's the Viva la Vegetarian and which one's the prime rib papa." So like the nerdy guy got the vegetarian one. I don't know. That might not be true. I don't really like this one. I feel like it's sort of stereotypical. Like, I don't know. No. Okay. Next we have, this is not in order. There's 2 guys in a boat and they're fishing. And there's like, you know, the Jaws poster where like the shark is coming up from the bottom and it's like huge and we get like from the bottom and you see its mouth open. It's that, and there's 2 guys in a boat above it, and one of them says, "There it goes again, that eerie music." The next one is a magician in front of a crowd. The crowd's really angry, and he's got like knives. He's like a knife thrower, I guess. And there's this board with a woman on it who he has hit with a knife, but it's not a real woman. It's like a blow-up doll. So like it wasn't a real woman. And that's why the crowd is mad. I guess they wanted to see someone die, and they're disappointed that it was just a balloon. Okay, the next one, another death one. This woman is saying goodnight. A mother is saying goodnight to her son. He's in bed. And there's like a giant bug leg coming out from under his bed. And she's saying, "Nighty night, dear, sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite." So like a giant bed bug is gonna come and eat him after she closes the door. Alright, the next one is 2 like ape monster things. I guess they're like Homo habilis or something, because they're like cavemen, but they're not human yet. They're not like Homo sapiens yet. They're like those ancestors. You know what I'm talking about. But they're like not evolved. But they're in a house. One of them, I guess, is I guess they're agender. I'll say that. One of them is wearing an apron, like a leopard print apron to demonstrate that they are cave things. And one of them is sitting in an easy chair reading a newspaper, and the one in the apron is saying, "And don't you flare your nostrils at me either." That's the first. I mean, I don't know why I said that. Sorry, that distracted. Anyway, yeah, they're cave things. That's the joke. The next one, The next one is this woman, and this lady is like opening a box, and on the box it says "dog away," as if like there's too many dogs or something. Her husband's reading the instructions. And the instructions says place your dog away in yard, watch how fast, and then it gets cut off. And there's an ad that says dogs bother you question mark. But inside the box is like this tentacle monster spiky thing that like I guess kills the dogs. And there's two dogs outside the window that look scared because, like, I guess they know they're about to die. They could leave. I don't know who has got like a problem with dogs that they need like a monster to help out. But this one I don't know about that one. All right, we're through January, everybody. What is like the halfway point of a year? Maybe I'll do that. I'll split it into like half years. I'm not very good at math. Is it June? It's June right now. Halfway through the year. All right. Yeah, I'll read till June. How long is that? Not bad. I'll do that. I'll read like halfway through June. Okay. The next one is a frog in a car. He's got a cigar. He's driving the car. That's not important. He's at a realty store. He's leaving Frank's Realty. There's two realtors, and they look like mean, and they're laughing at the frog. And they say, "Well, another sucker just bought 20 acres of swampland, but it's okay. He's a frog, so the joke's on them." I like that one. Then there's two bears at the top of a cliff, and there's a rock climber coming up the cliff and doesn't know the bears are there. And the bears are saying, "We'll be eating in tonight," because like the rock climber's gonna come right to them. It's another one where someone's about to die. Alright, the next one is your standard Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde comic where, like, he's like he's in the monster form, and there's a guy knocking on his laboratory door, and he's saying, "Hang on, I'm changing," because, like, he's not changing clothes, he's changing back into a human. Next one is two guys in a living room, and there's a small woman, like this, like that big, like this big, and she has a pot of coffee, also very small, and like she's coming to bring them coffee, and she's saying, oh, and one of the guys is saying, "And this must be the little woman." You get it. The next one is this mother, very scared, very shocked, like she's just come outside of her house onto the steps, and she sees her friend with his two friends, and one of his friends, this is why she's so distressed, one of his friends is like inside a bottle of soda, like a glass bottle, like, you know, like this big. And he looks in bad shape, like he's gonna die. It's not stated in the comic, but he is. And then there's another kid that's not doing anything. And then there's like the son of the mom who's scared, and he says, "Gee, Mom, Andy was just showing us how far he could suck his lip into the bottle." As if like she shouldn't be upset about like the obvious lawsuit. Next is this lumberjack has fallen asleep in the woods. He has a peg leg, 'cause you know. And then there's these two beavers, and they're eating his leg while he's asleep, because it's a peg leg, and they're beavers. And I guess Gary Larson thinks that beavers eat wood? Do beavers eat wood? I don't think they do. They can't. That would, right? They just use it to build stuff. Anyway, maybe. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, they're eating his leg, and one of the beavers is saying, "Hey, they're edible. This changes everything." So like now they can start eating humans, I guess. The next one is cave. Gary Larson really likes cavemen. You're gonna see that. Gary is like a biologist or something, and he likes science and stuff. But one thing he really likes is cavemen. He has a lot of cavemen. He likes cavemen and dead children is the theme of all of these books. So there's this cave couple. Heterosexual cave couple in a cave in the prehistoric era. They're eating like, you know how cavemen stereotypically eat like giant bones of like dinosaurs or whatever, like the Flintstones or whatever. This cave couple is stripping like the meat off of the bones of something they've killed recently. And one of in the caveman has like a bone sticking out, like not sticking out, but like there's a bone caught in his throat enough that it is pushing his throat out around the bone. And his wife is upset. I don't know if they had the concept of marriage back then, but the female cave person is eating the meat off of another bone, and she says, "I told you to watch out for bones." The next one is a guy reading at a desk. He's holding the book upside down, and it says, "You can become someone." It's relatable. The next one is, you know, like William Tell, and he shoots the apple off of his son's head. I'm not sure why. Doesn't seem very smart, but like he shoots the apple off of his friend's son's head. And that's what this is depicting, this comic. It's William Tell, and he's about to fire the arrow. Like he's about to notch the arrow, or knock, I don't know the word, but he's about to shoot at the apple. And the apple has 2 worms in it. His son looks scared. I mean, understandably. And the worms are saying, "But what if he hits the apple?" Because, like, I guess they think he's there to kill his son, and the apple is just on his head for no reason. This one is sad, but it's like 3 mafia guys, and they're on a bridge, and they've just thrown a dog over the bridge with its feet stuck in concrete blocks. And the caption says, "He bit the Godfather." So, like, they're drowning a dog by throwing it off a bridge. The next one is split. It's a split view. We got the apartment above, the apartment below. The apartment above is like a cult of hooded figures summoning some demonic creature. And then the apartment below is a couple, and the man is getting up, probably irritated by like the noise the cultists are making. and he's gonna go upstairs, I guess, and like he's going towards the door, and it says, "That does it. I'm going to go up there and give those people hell." It's like they already have hell. That's the joke. They summoned something from hell. The next one is also hell-based. It's a man about to get into an elevator, and it has the floors 1 through 7, but under the 1 there's an orange button. All the other buttons are white. This one's color. Most of them aren't color. I should mention that. I guess I don't know why, but it seems important. But the bottom button is an H, and the guy's about to press like 2, but there's a man behind him in a red trench coat that has like the spade satanic tail flowing out from under his overcoat, and he's the devil, is I guess what it's trying to say. And he says, "H, please," for both of us. So he's gonna take this guy with him to hell. The next one is bowling pins. And the one in the middle, they all have eyes, which I don't care for. But the one in the middle is like about to get hit by the bowling ball. I guess they're all about to get hit by the bowling ball, and it's screaming. And it says, "My God, here it comes again." The next one is a horse, a cow, and a pig, all very angry. And they're jumping up and down on top of a farmer, like, to kill him, because they're mad about being enslaved animals, I suppose. And it says, "Old MacDonald had a farm," and, like, "had" is in italics. So I guess it's like an Animal Farm situation where they take over the farm. I haven't finished Animal Farm, so I don't know if that's what happens. I didn't really like it. It seemed way too... It wasn't even like an allegory. It was just like George Orwell was like, this pig... It's just like, it's Stalin, but it's a pig. Like, it's not like you have to figure out that it's Stalin. Or, like, you have to figure out that it's Lenin. It's just, like, this is Lenin, but it's a pig. Or, like, the pig's name is, like, Lenin. And you're like, okay, thanks, George. Thanks for babying me through your book. But the one... what's the one I just read? Homage to Catalonia is very good. 1984 is good, but, like, Homage to Catalonia is very interesting. I think George Orwell is, like, a really good nonfiction author. But... whatever. You don't care. Read Homage to Catalonia. But, moving on. The next one is an old couple sitting on a porch. There's a pie on the window for no reason. Just set dressing, I guess. Comic. And then one of them is an old woman, and one of them is an old man, but he's also a goat. He's an old goat. The caption says, "Mother was right. You're nothing but an old goat." I kind of like that one. It's just stupid. But, like, in a good way. The next one is a bunch of two-headed aliens, and there's one on a stage. There's, like, a stage, and there's an audience full of two-headed aliens, and there's, like, a ringmaster, I don't know what, like a showman. Two-headed aliens, and he's holding an old-fashioned megaphone, and he's trying to drum up business to see a one-headed alien. It's sort of like that Twilight Zone episode with like the pig noses, and like Donna Douglas or something is like beautiful, but she's not beautiful in the universe because, like, everybody has pig noses, and it's like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But that's what this one is. Incredible, you say, but true, ladies and gentlemen, he has only one head. Next. There's 3 homeless people in front of a dumpster. And one of them is smoking a cigar. And the other 2 are mad. And he's saying, "Excuse me, but must you smoke that foul thing around here?" I don't know about this one. I feel like it's sending the wrong message. But I don't want to get into it. The next one is like those old, like the Apollo missions, you know, the tops, where like it's like the capsule and like the astronauts in it, but it's just like space for one, and they always look really unsafe. I don't know. I was at the Kennedy Museum yesterday, and there was one there, so there's one at like the Museum of Science, but I think it's one of the big ones. I live in Boston, so yeah. That Museum of Science. But there's a bunch of aliens flying by one of those, and there's an astronaut, and it says USA on it, so like nationalism. But like he's in there, and there's like a group of aliens flying by. They're like, I guess they're supposed to be teens. Or I guess not. But they're driving by, and one of them is shouting, "Get a Zorb," because like their spaceship is cooler. The next one is 2 cowboys, 3 cowboys. One of them is doing ballet in front of the other 2. And they don't look very impressed. Like they have their guns out. Like they were gonna shoot him, and then he started dancing, and it says, he's making a fool of us, Bart." I don't really get it. The next one is a pelican, and it has swallowed a scuba diver. That's all you need to know. That's just the joke, is that it was like going for a fish, because it's a pelican, you know, they go, "Wow," and it got a scuba diver. The next is a wagon, a covered wagon, and then like 2 wagon train leaders. You know, like the guys that lead the train, because like they don't know where they're going. And there's a bunch of chickens. They're like traveling through a giant field of chickens. And one of the leaders, the trail leaders, is saying, "And I tell you, the next trail drive I sign on to, I'm reading the fine print." Oh, I guess the chickens are like the wagon, the covered wagon, like chickens. Like the guy in the covered wagon. There's only one covered wagon, so I guess like the guy in the covered wagon owns all the chickens. I don't know why the trail hand man is so mad about it. The next one is a snake charmer, and he's like charming a cobra. But he's really nervous because there's a giant shadow of like a big cobra. Like, so I guess like there's a cobra that's mad that he's taking advantage of a smaller cobra, but you can only see its shadow, but it's really big. Alright, we're into March now. March 1980. Right, March. Okay, there's a kid, and he's like peering over the top of a table, and he looks like really malevolent. I don't like it. He makes me uncomfortable. But there's a jar of cookies, and the cookies all have eyes, much like the bowling pins. And one of the cookies is, one of the cookies is scared, and he's saying it's back. So like he's gonna eat the cookies, and they're scared because they're sentient creatures that can like feel pain, I guess. The next one is 3 U.S. soldiers from the frontier days. They have Civil War attire, regalia on, and they're being attacked by natives. It's like one of those old forts, like from F Troop or something. No one watched F Troop. I'm just insane. But like those pointy stick forts they had in like the Old West. But they're being attacked by natives. and they're frontier U.S. soldiers. And the air, you can't see the natives, but like you can see the arrows that they're firing, and the arrows have suction cups on them. And one of the soldiers is saying to the other soldiers, "Gad, not these Indians again." I guess they're the suction cup nation or something. The next one is called it's a boardroom, and there's a big sign that says Wonker Wieners, and like hot dog wieners, not like phallic wieners, but the Wonker Wieners sign has a hot dog on it, like a depiction of the hot dog, but how do I describe it? I don't really know what's up here. I'm in my attic, like I think I said. I don't really know my way around. I don't come up here too often, but like, let's say this washcloth is the bun of the hot dog, and this silver, like, not a Sharpie, it's just a silver, like, Sharpie knockoff. This is how hot dogs normally go. You put the hot dog in the bun, but with this company, the hot dog is like this, like it goes through the bun. And in the boardroom, the head guy is saying to the other guys at the table, "And so I've reached the conclusion, gentlemen, that the Wonker Wiener Company is riddled with incompetence." As if, like, they've recognized that hot dogs should go the correct way into the bun, but it's just not happening for some reason. To the point that, like, in their advertising, they are advertising their weird way to do it. I don't really think this one is very well thought out. Like, I get the joke, but I don't know if it really works. The next one is a woman and a horse. The horse is standing on all four. The horse is a biped, so he's not standing on all fours. He's standing up. He's got his hands in his pockets. He's wearing an overcoat with a tie and jeans and shoes. So, like, he's a human presenting horse. And they've just left The Godfather, the movie. They've just come out of the theater. And the woman, I guess, like, his date or like his wife or something, is saying, "Get a hold of yourself, it was only a movie, for crying out loud." And like the horse looks scared because in The Godfather they like cut off a horse's head in the beginning. The next one is two mooses. Moose. There's two mooses, and they're in their living room, and the female presenting moose, the cow, I believe, is telling the bull, who's sitting in the easy chair, watching TV. She's just answered the phone, and she says, "It's the call of the wild." Like the wild has called. That's who's on the phone. The next is two cows, but in the background is a city that's on fire, and there's a sign that says Chicago. And in the foreground, there's two cows that are like watching Chicago burn. And one of them says, "It seems that Agent 6373 has accomplished her mission." Now this one is like a reference to the Great Chicago Fire being started by I forget her name, but like an old woman's cow supposedly knocked over a lantern, and like it caught on the hay in her barn and spread everywhere and burned Chicago down. And and this implies that like cows outside of Chicago sent that cow into Chicago to kill everyone there. in like some giant citywide genocide because cows don't like being enslaved. I get it. I don't blame him. Gary Larson also really likes cows. The next one is like a Boy Scout troop in a boat, like a canoe, and the troop leader is yelling at them, and his back is toward it. They're about to go over a waterfall, basically, and his back is turned so he can't see the waterfall. And he's saying, and then the second group comes in, row, row. Oh, he's not yelling at them. He's teaching them to sing. And then he says, and then the second group comes in, row, row, row your boat. So, like, they're about to die, and they don't know it yet, once again. Okay, this one is... I don't know music very well. Like, I don't know famous musicians from, like, the past. I know a few, but, like, this one is, like, he's dead. He's got sunglasses on, and he's about to play his harp. He's an angel sitting on a cloud, and he might be famous, he might not, but he's about to play his harp because he's an angel, and the harp is electric and it's hooked up to a giant amplifier. There's not really a joke. It's just like he has an electric harp, not a normal non-electric harp that most angels have. So he's like rock and roll, the angel. The next is a werewolf, and he's putting on a flea collar, so he has fleas. That's it. That's all it is. The next one is 2 security guards in a prison in front of a door with a prisoner in it. They're in front of a cell door, and they're playing Hangman. And the caption is, "Hangman, you lose." So it's like sad, because like the guy is probably gonna be hanged, I think is what it means. I mean, that is what it means, but like he might not be getting hanged. He's really just watching them play Hangman. He could just be a normal inmate and not on death row. So interpret it however you like. The next one is a high diver, and he's gonna like, because like high divers jump into really small containers, so he's like he's in front of an audience and he's about to jump into a bucket full of water, and he jumps, and then a cleaning lady shows up and she thinks the bucket of water is hers, and she picks it up and takes it. It's a 3-part comic. There's 3 panels, and like I guess is gonna die because he isn't gonna jump into the bucket. But he was probably going to die anyway. I mean, I'm not in the circus, but that seems a little far-fetched. I don't know if you could jump and land into a bucket. The next one is 2 guys. It's definitely a reference to something. It might be like Abbott and Costello. I think I'm just too young to get it. But they're running away from a mushroom cloud, like a nuclear explosion is occurring in the background, and they're running away. One of them's really fat and has like the toothbrush Hitler mustache, and the other one's like thin and has a really long face. So if you get the reference, you get the reference, but I don't. And they're running away, and the fat one is saying, "Now you've done it." Like the skinny one set off like a nuclear explosion. The next one is a Hansel and Gretel reference. It's like a realtor about to sell the witch's house, like the gingerbread house, to a new couple because the witch has been killed and cooked, because like they put her in the oven because she tries to cook them, and then it's like, just read Hansel and Gretel. But he's saying, "We just listed it. Some young punks vandalized the place and cooked the owner." I don't know why he would say that. That seems like bad salesmanship, but that's the comic. The next one is a bunch of lemmings, and they're running, and there's a lemming coming out of a hole. Like, he doesn't know why all the lemmings are going anywhere yet. And one of them says, "Come on, you'll miss the fun. All the lemmings are going down to the beach." So, like, all the lemmings are going to jump in the water and he's going to die and he doesn't know it yet. Once again, it is the point of this comic is that someone is about to die and they don't know it yet. And it's a lemming. And isn't that a myth? Didn't, like, Walt Disney, like, drive a bunch of lemmings off a cliff because he's, like, a Nazi? I don't know things. But the next one is there's two crocodiles with their mouths open, and you know how birds will like fly into the crocodile's mouth and pick out the things between their teeth, and the crocodiles let them do it? The birds are saying, "Food's okay, I just can't get used to the atmosphere," because they're in a crocodile's mouth. Oh god, we're still in March. Alright, the next one is in a tattoo parlor. Sorry, I was reflecting on my life. Tattoos is spelled wrong, I think. I don't want to look dumb in case I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's spelled wrong. Anyway, tattoos, they're in a tattoo parlor, and there's this guy. He's getting the word Sally tattooed all over his body. Like just not really in any pattern, just like everywhere he can, his body, not like everywhere, but like 4 places, his body says Sally. So he's like committed to Sally. And he's getting one more. He's getting the 4th one. And there's a guy looking out the window, and he says, "Say, Ernie, that looks like Sally across the street, and she's with some guy." So that sucks. The next one is a cave painting of a mammoth and like a bull, or so, like a prehistoric bull. And there's an archaeologist who has just found the cave paintings, and he's shining a flashlight on the cave wall like he's looking at the other cave paintings. And one of them is the one he is shining the flashlight on says, "For a good time called Una." And I guess Una was a cave woman. Or I guess it could be a cave person that has written that on the wall. The next one is a bull in a china, 2 bulls in a china shop, disguised as normal people. Like they got like suits on. And there's two workers there. And one of them is saying, "I got a bad feeling about this, Harriet." It's like they're bulls in the china shop. The next one I really like. By this point, Gary's art style has really started to like become what you know as Gary's art style. It takes like a few more years for him to like really get it down, but like this one is pretty spot on. It's a brick wall in a field, and there's 3 guys in lab coats with like clipboards. One of them has the letter 2. The number 2 on his back, like he's test subject number 2, and he's running at the brick wall. And there's a sign, and the sign says, "Warning, eyeglass testing area." And on the ground there's a bunch of broken pairs of glasses. So like they're just running into the wall over and over again. That's funny. I like this one. The next one is a man. Eyelash fell on the page. There's a man in a dog sled with 4 dogs, maybe more, but we see 4 dogs, and one of them has like deflated, and he says, "Egad, another flat," like the dog is the flat. The next one is a man in the desert, and he's like a car dealer, but instead of cars he sells camels, and the name of his business is Camelot. Alright, we're in April. Alright, this one, there's a mammoth a mammoth has just been killed, and it's got spears sticking out of it. There's a caveman. He's holding a spear, and he's with his son, and he looks really mad. And he's saying, "I don't care if you don't like it. By God, you're gonna eat it." So like the kid doesn't want to eat the mammoth, but his dad just killed it, so like he's gotta eat it. The next one is a Moby Dick reference. There's two whales. They look like bored. And then there's a third whale, Moby Dick. There's like he's the white one, and he's talking to them, and he looks really paranoid. And he says, "I tell you, he's up there. Those wild sunken eyes, that horrid wooden leg, and he's looking for me." So like, Moby Dick knows Ahab is hunting him. The next one is two people on a boat. They're on like the deck of an ocean liner, and they say, "Lousy food, crummy service, dinky cabins," and that's only the tip of the iceberg. And then it says that there's this thing, there's like one of those things, like a life preserver, and it says USS Titanic on it. Isn't it the RMS Titanic? Isn't it like a British ship? I think it is. I'm pretty positive that it's RMS. Anyway, the next one is a couple going whitewater rafting, and there's salmon going up, because you know how salmon like go upstream, and they're like losing control of their raft and careening down the rapids, and then there's these salmon jumping up in the opposite direction. And one of the salmon it's a well-drawn salmon, I will say. But the salmon is telling another salmon, "I doubt if they'll ever reach the spawning grounds." The next one is a man in front of a fire, and he's cleaning a rifle. And he has four trophy plaques on the wall. He has like an eagle's foot, an elephant's foot, like a lion's foot, and a duck's foot. And then on his mantle it says Dr. Carl, and then his last name is cut off, like Gary ran out of space, which is stupid. But Dr. Carl something, podiatrist. So like he kills animals and then takes their feet because he's a podiatrist. I guess he likes feet. The next one is a guy looking for butterflies in a field with a butterfly net, and then there's a bunch of butterflies above him with a much bigger net that they're gonna drop on him. The next one is like the people from the Wizard of Oz. Like the lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, Dorothy, and Toto. And they're at the door of Dr. Frankenstein's house, because like Frankenstein's monster is there, but it's not really doing anything. It's not really a part of it. I guess it's just to show that like he's Dr. Frankenstein. And Dr. Frankenstein has answered the door, and he says, "I'm sorry, try the wizard up the road. I just used my last heart and brain." The next one is two people, a man and a woman, in a boat, and they're fishing. And they're out in like open water. And the woman is pointing into the water at like all these black fins. And she says, "Oh, Harold, look, porpoises, but they're actually killer whales." But killer whales don't attack people. I'm like 90% sure that there has never been a killer whale fatality ever, like, recorded in the wild. So it's a little unfair to killer whales. They might as well be porpoises. I don't think they're curious creatures. They're probably just looking at the boat. It's a little killer whale, anti-killer whale agenda from Gary Larson that I don't appreciate. Next one is a museum full of dinosaur skeletons, and there's two like scientists, I don't know what they are. They're wearing like old-fashioned southern suits. But one of them is saying, "Most peculiar, Sydney," another scattering of Cub Scout attire, and there's like Cub Scout hats and bandanas on the floor, so like the Cub Scouts are being eaten by the dinosaur skeletons. It's like a night at the museum type situation, I guess. The next one is a construction worker, and he's in a crane with a wrecking ball on it, and he's destroying a brick building, and the wrecking ball has a smiley face on it, and that's it. That's all it is. I don't like Gary Larson's smiley face material. Remember the one from earlier where it was like the smiley face in the courtroom? It was bad. This is the same smiley face, which is a little creepy, but whatever. The next one is a man has been shipwrecked on a desert island, and he's like drafting the note to put into the bottle, and he can't spell desert. So it says like, "Help, I'm stranded on a desert," and that's crossed out. Then desert, that's crossed out. Then desert again, then that's crossed out. Then desert is crossed out. And then he goes with desert island. So that sucks, but I'm sure whoever finds it will know. But like, I don't know. I hope he gives them more information than that, because that's just not helpful. The next one is a detective and a police officer, a corporal. He has 2 corporal stripes, so I guess that's important. But they're in a woman's, like an old woman's apartment, and her house plant has hanged itself, and she's crying, and they're both looking at the house plant. And she says, "I can't believe it, I was just talking to him yesterday." So that's bizarre. The next one is 2 of every animal are walking towards a rocket that's about to launch. And like the gate guard at NASA is phoning the guys in the rocket to warn them about the animals coming. And he says, "Something big's going down, sir. They're heading your way now." So I guess it's like the rocket is the ark, and the animals are just gonna try to get on it to escape the flood. The next one is 2 birds building a nest out of stick figures, and like the stick figures are screaming. Well, actually it's just one. The rest are just normal sticks, but one of them has brought back a screaming stick figure to make the nest out of. Let me know if it gets too dark up here, because like when I started I feel like it was brighter. I don't know how long I've been here. That's why I think I'm gonna have to stop after 6 months, because like it's gonna get dark. I didn't think this would take as long, because I'm the thing about me is that I'm really dumb, and yeah, basically I just didn't consider the fact that this would take more than like, I didn't think the whole book would take like, I wasn't expecting this to be easy, but I thought that we would have gotten much farther. I thought I would do like at least a year. But anyway, the next one is, I hate when they're like hard to describe. Okay, so the next one is like, there's this woman, she has her back turned to the viewer. She's like, she's got an apron on. She's in another room. In the room that we're looking at, there's a mean lamp, like a malevolent lamp, and a malevolent chair, and like a mean clock in an evil chair, and they're all smiling, but they're angrily smiling, and they say, "Okay, the sanatorium's on its way over. All we gotta do is start talking to her." So like they're gonna make a woman think that her furniture is talking to her, so they get the house to themselves, I guess. I don't know. Next one is some pirates, and they've just made a man walk the plank, and he's like in the water, and he's gonna die now. But you know, when they have the high dive. I don't even know if they do this anymore, but during the Olympics, for like the high dive, they would like hold up cards, be like 9, 10. This one is like 8. One guy gave him a 7.5. The other guy gave him an 8. It's like they're judging his fall off the plank. The next one is a guy. He's Bigfoot, but he's really skinny. He just has giant feet. Like, he's like a really small man, but he has giant feet. And there's two guys hiding behind a rock, and they say it certainly has taken the romance out of the Bigfoot mystery. Then there's a diver, and he's looking up in fear. He's like an old-fashioned diver when they had to like pump the oxygen through a tube, and there's like fish that are also scissors, and they're coming to, I guess, cut his oxygen tube. The next one is a guy going through the desert. There's a pyramid in the background, I guess, to communicate that it's the desert, but it's pretty obvious. There's like a guy on a camel walking over these dunes, and the camel has a bumper sticker that says, "I'd rather be sailing." The next one is a man. He's asleep in the desert. Once again, it's at night. He's got like a bedroll, and his bedroll is just like filled with rattlesnakes, and the leader rattlesnake who's on top is saying, "Okay, on the count of 3, everybody rattles." So they're gonna scare him. The next one is sad and dark, but it's a bunch of cows going into a slaughterhouse that says Johnson's Meatpacking, and they're in a line, like, to go into the slaughterhouse, and one of them is turning around to tell the other cow, and he says, "Just look at this line, they'll never get me to come back here again." So, like, he doesn't know that he's gonna die and be eaten. The next one is a woman in a bathtub, and she's being scrubbed by a tentacle monster, and she looks scared. And that's it. Alright, we're in May. Pretty cool. How much we got? Oh, not bad. We got like 10 pages. Alright. This one is to detective. Once again, maybe it's the same as before. A corporal and a detective. And there's a man who's been killed by like a Tommy gun, and he's like covered in bullet holes, but he's a clockmaker, and like when whoever killed him, they like shot all the clocks too, because it's a Tommy gun and it was just like spray fire, and all the clocks are stopped at the same time, which is 10:07-ish, and the detective is saying, "We've got the murder weapon and the motive. Now if we can just establish time of death." So like they're dumb. The next, oh god, this is scary. The next is like this really scary tree holding 2 children that are like dating. And it says, "So, the little sweethearts were gonna carve their initials on me, eh?" I don't like this. This is, look at this. Look at this tree. My god. Alright. Thank you for looking. Next we have 2 mammoths. They're looking at a baby mammoth. It's running away. They say, "Alright, run along and play and stay away from those tar pits." The next one is 2 guys. No, one of them is a woman. They're not wearing clothes. Oh, they are, but they're wearing like bodysuits. And I don't mean a bodysuit in like it hooks down here. I mean like the entire thing is all connected, like feety pajamas, and they're roasting hot dogs over a fire, and there's a giant monster behind them, and they don't know because it's like dark. Once again, they're about to die. They don't know. That's the joke. And the guy sings, "Thank God those blasted cricket." Why are there so many plants? Why are there plants in my attic? Anyway, thank God those blasted crickets have finally stopped. So, like, the monster scared the crickets. There's a bunch of plants. They're all dead. I don't know why they're up here. Whatever. If I do this again, I'll tell you more about my attic. It's a weird place. What do we got next? We got an ant hill covered in ants. There's an ant at the top of the hill. He's addressing the other ant. I guess it's a she, because like they're like bees. They're all female except for the drones, I think. Once again, I don't know things, so don't quote me on that. They're coming up the hill. I guess, and he's saying, "And remember, ask not what your anthill can do for you, but what you can do for your anthill." So I guess he's just JFK, but an ant. JFK has been coming up a lot in my life lately, which sucks, because he is not very interesting. Never mind. Next, there's a corporal. Once again, a police officer that is specifically a corporal, and like a detective, and then a crime scene photographer, and there's a closet full of ducks, and the detective, and there's a man has been murdered with an axe. That's what they're taking a photograph of, and his closet's full of ducks, and the detective has opened the closet, and he says, the plot thickens. The next one is a man. You know those fly strips? I've never seen one like in real life, but like they're that's not true. My dad has some in the yard that are like, but those are just because he doesn't want them to eat his fruit because he grows a lot of fruit. But like this one's inside. And I guess it's like they have a fly problem, so they've hung up these sticky strips that the catch the flies. And there's like an old man has gotten stuck to it, and presumably his wife is yelling at him, saying, "So, you've been buzzing around the living room again, haven't you?" The next one is a homeless person, two homeless people in like an alley, and then a giant cockroach. In like a metamorphosis type thing. And one of them is asleep, the other one's like not really listening to the cockroach, but the cockroach is talking, and the cockroach is saying, "I used to be somebody, big executive, my own company, and then one day someone yelled, 'Hey, he's just a big cockroach.'" I don't really understand that. The next one is a ski lodge. It says ski lodge on it. It's like a resort in the mountains, and there's skiers, and they're skiing away from an erupting volcano. And these two men who presumably own the ski lodge are arguing, and one of them is saying, "Me, this year it was your turn to go up and sacrifice the goat." Yep. Pretty cool. The next one is a dog in a butcher's shop. And he's in an overcoat. I guess he's there to steal meat. And the butcher is saying to another butcher, "Keep your eye on that guy. He hasn't said or bought a thing for over an hour." So like the dog's gonna steal meat. The next one is a woman opening her windows in the city, and we don't see the window cleaner, but she has knocked him off by opening her windows, and he is now fallen to his death. The next is This one, I don't know. This one's kind of, I like it. It's not the best in terms of content, but like I kind of like it. It's like this this scuba diver has just killed a big fish, and he's got a harpoon, and he's coming out of the water, and then going into the water is like the creature from the Black Lagoon, Fishman type thing, and he's carrying a woman who is screaming, and he's looking at the scuba diver and smiling, but like not a mean like they're both equals. And like except for the woman and the fish who both look very upset, it's kind of nice. Next is Smokey the Bear. And he's in a cave and it's his birthday. So buckle up. It's Smokey the Bear and he's got a birthday cake. And he's surrounded by other woodland creatures in party hats, and they're making him keep his eyes closed because his birthday cake, the candles on it, are flaming trees. Like they're like candles, but they're trees, and like all the woodland creatures are laughing. So they're gonna like prank Smokey because they know that he has PTSD and like can't handle forest fires. The next one is two children, they're spiders, and they're scaring their father, who is also a spider, by dangling a fake human in a business suit. So it's like, instead of dangling a fake spider in front of a human, they're dangling a fake human in front of a spider. And that's the joke. Next we got... These plants. Next, we got like an electrical company. Well, the City Electric is the name. These two electricians are coming, and they're stopped at a walk sign, and it says "Don't walk." And there's these two guys that are like dying. They got like spider webs on them. They've been there for a long time, is what it's implying, and they're trying to push the button to make the walk sign go, and it says this is the place, all right, and it looks like it's been stuck on "Don't walk" for some time. So these guys are waiting for the walk signal, but they don't know the walk signal is broken. The next one is a state trooper, or like a highway policeman on a motorcycle, and he's pulled over this woman because she has a broken tail light, and the woman is sweating because her trunk has two legs hanging out of him, like she's carrying a dead body, and the police officer just hasn't noticed because he's focused on the tail light. And the caption says, well, what do we have here? I do believe it's a broken tail light. Cops are dumb, basically. The next one is a club, like a tree house, and there's a beaver. It's at the top of a big tree, and a beaver is like chewing its way through the tree. And there's the tree house is like a club for little kids, and they, I guess once again they're about to die and they don't know it. And they say, okay, those that want to call our new club the Buccaneers raise their, hey, who's the wise guy that keeps cracking his knuckles? I don't really think that would sound like knuckles cracking. Like a beaver chewing through the wood of a tree. I don't think that's accurate. The next one is a cow trying to pole vault and not making it. And like he hits the bar. And there's a cat playing a fiddle. And a man. And the man says, we've still got a couple of years to go before we're ready for the moon. Oh, it's like that rhyme. I don't even remember it, which is sad. The next one is a big fishbowl with a shark fin in it, and this woman is standing on a stepladder to like feed the shark, and she's yelling at her cat, and she says, "And remember, I don't want to catch you bothering the fish." but it's a shark, so like the cat's not gonna bother it. That's the joke. The next is a man with he's got the tail of he's got like chicken feet and a rooster's tail and like a furry spotted circular body, and one of his hands is an elephant's leg, and he's approaching a wishing well with a sign that says out of order, and he looks really mad, like he wished for something but it didn't work, and now he's like this weird creature, so he's putting an out of order sign there. That's kind of nice of him though, because like other people will know now that there's no wishing, the wishing well doesn't work. I don't know. The next one is a mad scientist and the Igor. His name's Igor in the comic, so I can call him the Igor. And he's attacking a city with a giant robot, but the robot has shut off. And he says, "Curses, quick, Igor. Run down to the store and get 2 size D flashlight batteries to like power the remote to make the robot work." Next one is Satan, sitting at his desk, I guess. And there's these 2 demon things, and they've taken this man before Satan, and he has a fire extinguisher, and they say, "Yes, sir, we caught him trying to smuggle this under his coat." So he's trying to smuggle a fire extinguisher into hell. Alright, we're almost right. I'm gonna read. We're almost to June, but when we get to June, I'm gonna read a little bit into it, so it's like halfway through 1980. The next one is in Al's Seafood, but it's C like the letter. So I guess it's just a pun or something. I don't know I don't know if that's a pun or not. But there's the chef. Oh no, forget that. There's like 3 guys there, but one guy is sitting close to a ship in a bottle, and from the ship in the bottle, he's hearing a voice that says, "Okay, it's settled. Tonight at midnight, when the place is closed, we sail." I don't really want to spend any more time on that one. The next one is a magician locked in his dressing room, and we see that he's being introduced on stage, but like he's not gonna make it because he's locked in his dressing room. And the caption is, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the world's greatest escape artist, the great Waldo." Oh, so it's like a double layer of funny because he's an escape artist, but he can't get out of his locked dressing room. That's clever. Why is Waldo a name? Why is Where's Waldo? What? In America, it's Where's Waldo. Everywhere else, like Europe, where people think his name is like Wally, which is Waldo. No one is named Waldo. Why is it Where's Waldo in America, and everywhere else it's like Where's Wally? Not like Wally, the robot. Maybe. Never mind. The next one is 2 flowers, and one of them is One of them has like a man attached to him, and the man is spitting water into the face of the other flower, and the flower that has the man on him is laughing. So like, the man is one of those boutonnieres that squirts people, but it's just like reversed. The next one is a scuba diver, and he's at the bottom of the ocean, and he finds a plug. So like, I guess if he pulls the plug, the ocean drains. Next one is a rhino. There's 2 rhinos. And then a baby rhino, but the baby rhino's head is a giraffe's head. And one of the rhinos is saying, "There's something different about that kid." And the other rhino is like nervous. I don't really get why. but it's just like a rhino with a giraffe's head. The next one is the Pharaoh of Egypt, and it's like during the building of the pyramids, and there's a guy whipping a bunch of slaves, and like they're pulling a big block, and there's a pyramid in the distance, and the Pharaoh is telling some other Egyptian guy, well, if it'll keep my razor blades sharp, that's all I ask. Like, the pyramid will sharpen his razors because it's like a straight edge to sharpen. I don't know. The next one is a man who has been killed. Like, we see 2 feet, and then there's a shoe, and on the shoe there's 2 scorpions who have presumably just killed this person, and it says, one of the scorpions is telling the other scorpion, there I was, asleep in this little cave here, this shoe, when suddenly I was attacked by this hideous thing with 5 heads, which is the foot. It's like it has 5 toes. You know how feet are. Don't know why I'm doing that. Probably bored. The next one is old man, you know, like the child seat in a grocery cart, like the back part. There's an old man sitting in those, and there's an old woman, and she has left the cart behind, and the cashier is saying, oh, Mrs. Oswald, you've forgotten something again. Like she's left the old man in the child seat. He looks upset. Alright, this is the last 2 pages I'm gonna read, so we're almost there. So it's the Sphinx. There's 2. You know how the Sphinx doesn't have a nose? That's a central fact of this panel. There's 2 guys. One of them's got a chisel. He's just hit the nose off of the Sphinx head. And there's another guy yelling at him, and he says, that's fine. I said, good nose. I said, but no, you had to go hit the chisel 1 more time. That sucks. The next one is, you know those, like, where it's like the big fish is eating the little fish, which is eating a smaller fish? It's like that, but the biggest fish is about to be eaten by a bunch of small fish in the shape of a big fish. So it's like different, I guess. I don't know. Next. Oh god. Next there is. He's a guy. He's a prisoner, and he's looking out the window, like, sadly, like he's given up. And he's got a cake, and coming out of the cake is a file cabinet. Like, a file cabinet has been baked into his cake. And there's a note from someone named Rosie, and it says, Ernie, here's the file you wanted. Good luck. Love, Rosie. So, Rosie has misinterpreted. He wanted a file to file through the bars and escape his cell, but she sent him a file cabinet. Next, 2 guys in an alleyway in overcoats, and they're trading a chicken between the 2 of them. They're like suspicious about it, like the chicken's illegal or something, I don't know. And there's 2, a detective and a sergeant. I mean, a corporal, in the back of a police car. And the detective is speaking into a walkie-talkie, and he's saying, all units prepare to move in. He's giving him the duck. Oh, it's a duck. He's giving him the duck now. Seems like a waste of police resources, is what it seems like to me, but I'm not a cop. Thank God. The next one is 2 guys being, like, carried by some tribal people up to a flaming altar in the shape of, like, a monster's mouth. And one of them is, like, unhappy about it, but the other one's pretty happy. And he's saying, by Jove, Andrew, it's just like being the heroes of some football game. Because they're, like, gonna throw him in the mouth. I don't know, it's kind of optimistic. The next one is... The next one is two cowboys about to have a shootout. And they're like really. I don't know if they're really big or if the town is really small. But like, if this. No. If my legs and my fingers are the two cowboys, then like this is the size of like a building in the town. So like da, they're really big, or this is really small. I don't know. But one of them is saying, this town ain't big enough for both of us, Red Eye. So you get it. You know how cowboys are. And this is the last one I'm going to read today. Kind of a good callback to the first one I read today, because it's a kid built next to a sand castle, and that he has presumably built, but he is being struck in the head by a rock from a tiny catapult. All right, my phone. I'm poor, so I'm using my phone as the video camera, because I'm not gonna like buy a video camera to record myself reading the Farside out loud. But my phone died. So what I did was like, I didn't know if there was any outlets up here so I could charge it and still finish this while there was still light. But then I found, I've never seen anything like this before, but like the light is an outlet. So I don't know. That's pretty for like a house, as my house was like. I mean, it's not like that's an original light, but like that's an old light. It's pretty cool. Anyway, now I can charge my phone using, but the light has to be on for it to work. So yeah, this is the end. I'm glad that it died on the very last. That's actually very good luck, because I was not looking at my phone at all, because it was recording me. So very good timing. I was really scared there, but like, I'm gonna stop. If you didn't get it, there's like a boy, he's being hit in the head with a catapult from the sandcastle that he built. That's stupid. That's the joke. So yeah, I'll be back. Hopefully my phone won't die next time. I'll make sure to get it all charged up. But yeah, this is gonna take a long time. I've read 40 pages. There's over 640 pages in this first volume. And I'm pretty sure the second one is longer. So, I don't think this is gonna be fun, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Alright. Thanks for watching. Bye.